This video will discuss Chapter 6.4, Elimination using Multiplication.
Nick Acevedo, come to the office.
So, same idea, we need to get rid of one of the two variables. Sorry, it's a 6. And so, as you can see, 5, 2, 6, 3, none of them are the same, none of them are the opposite. So in order for us to solve this, I need to either get them to be the same or the opposite. So what I can do is I can multiply something to either the top equation or the bottom equation so that they're the same. And so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get this to be a 6, and then this would be 6y, and this would be 6y, and then they'll be the same. So what I'm going to end up doing is multiplying this equation times 2. I'm going to multiply the entire equation times 2, and it should end up looking like this. So I now have, this was the original equation, 5x plus 6y equals negative 8. This is that second equation doubled, 4x plus 6y equals negative 10. I'm going to come back to the first, right? So you can see all I did was double each of those numbers. All right, since 6y and 6y are the same, what I can do is I can subtract. And so 5 minus 4 gives me 1x. This cancels out. I'm left with negative 8 minus negative 10, so x equals positive 2. Now be careful with that. Make sure you're getting positive 2. All right, I'm going to switch to a different slide. So coming back to this slide, I now know the value of x. So I now know that x is 2. So now the question is, what is y? Well, I'm now going to take this 2, and I want to substitute in either of the original equations. I do not want to choose this equation, which I've doubled, because I'm now talking about larger numbers. Okay, but so either one of these will work. Let's just take the second one. So this is going to be 2 times 2 plus 3y equals negative 5. This is 4 plus 3y equals negative 5. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. 3y equals negative 9. And then when I divide by 3, y equals negative 3. So this is now 2, negative 3. And I can check my answer by putting a 2 in here and a negative 3 in here, making sure it equals negative 8. A 2 in here, a negative 3 in here, and make sure that it equals negative 5. As long as both of those statements are true, then I know that I've got the correct answer. In this particular example, that will work. All right, now, let's take a look at a second type of problem. One that doesn't necessarily come around or get solved quite as easily. So I got 4x plus 2y equals 8, 3x plus 3y equals 9. As you can see, there's nothing I can multiply, or I shouldn't say, there's nothing I can easily multiply to either of these numbers or these numbers to make them either the same or opposite. So I'm going to end up multiplying to both equations. And so in this particular example, I'm going to multiply this times 3, and I'm going to multiply this one times 2, and then this will become 6y, and this will be 6y, and then they will be the same. Now, I could have multiplied this one times 3 and this one times 4, and I would have 12x, and those would be the same. The reason I chose not to do that is because by multiplying by 3 and by 4, I'm actually making the numbers even larger. So I'm just trying to keep numbers as small as possible. It doesn't necessarily make it more correct or less correct. It just is a different way, right? So now when I rewrite this, I'm going to come back to this one in a second. When I rewrite it, it should look like this. This was the original equation times 3. And then the bottom equation times 2. All right, coming back here, times 3, times 2. All right, so now what I'm going to do is end up solving this, keeping in mind that since these are the same, I am going to subtract. This becomes 6x, and that is 6. Obviously, the 6y and the 6y cancel out. I'm left with x equals 1. Okay, so there is half of my answer. So I now know that x is 1. The question is, what is y? So I can take that 1, I can substitute to either of the two equations. Since I did the bottom equation last time, let's work with the top equation this time. 4 times 1 plus 2y equals 8. So this is 4 plus 2y equals 8. Subtract 4 from both sides. That's not a good looking y. Subtract 4 from both sides, and I end up with 2y equals 4. And then I divide by 2, and y is 2. So I know my answer is 1, 2. And again, I can Substitute this in, I can check to make sure that 4 times 1 plus 2 times 2 equals 8, and that 3 times 1 plus 3 times 2 equals 9. Since both of those statements are true, I know that this is my answer. All right, that's all we got for you on elimination using multiplication. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to do the problems on the bottom of the page. I'll see you in class.